The room went completely silent when my wife placed her expensive shoe in front of me and said, "Clean my shoes or leave." Hundreds of people were watching. Her family was laughing. Even the man she had been secretly seeing was standing nearby, smiling as if my humiliation were entertainment. What they didn't know was that the quiet man sitting in that chair was the person keeping their entire empire alive. And before that night was over, I would make a decision worth $15 billion. My name is Daniel Carter, and for years I had lived quietly beside a family that measured human worth by money, clothing, and social status. My wife, Vanessa, had grown up surrounded by wealth. Her father owned Carter Stone Holdings, a massive investment group with hotels, real estate, technology companies, and private equity interests spread across several countries. Everyone believed her family had built everything through brilliant business decisions. The truth was very different. Years earlier, when the company was drowning in debt, I had quietly invested my own fortune into it. I never demanded recognition. I believed marriage meant building something together, not keeping score. My investments eventually became the foundation that allowed the company to recover and grow into a $15 billion empire. Vanessa knew about it. Her parents knew about it. But over time, they stopped seeing me as the man who had saved them and started seeing me as the man they could use. Before we continue, if you believe in humanity tales, second chances, kindness, and the idea that someone's character matters more than their bank account, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe for more emotional stories. For years, I ignored the small insults. Vanessa complained that I dressed too simply. Her mother joked that I was lucky to have married into their family. Her brothers borrowed money and never returned it. At family dinners, they talked about billion-dollar deals while barely acknowledging me. I told myself that none of it mattered because I loved Vanessa. I remembered the woman she had been when we first met, the woman who once sat beside me in a small cafe and told me that kindness was more valuable than wealth. I kept waiting for that woman to come back. But people can change when money teaches them that they are untouchable. The final humiliation happened at Vanessa's family's grand anniversary celebration. The ballroom was filled with chandeliers, flowers, expensive suits, and hundreds of influential guests. I had helped finance the entire event through one of my investment companies, though nobody knew it. Vanessa arrived wearing a stunning red dress, surrounded by her family. I was sitting quietly near the front when she noticed a tiny mark on one of her shoes. Instead of asking a servant, she walked directly toward me. She lifted her foot toward my chair and demanded that I clean it. People nearby began laughing. Her brothers encouraged her. Someone even raised a phone to record the moment. I looked around the room, hoping Vanessa would realize how cruel the situation had become. She didn't. She told me that if I couldn't perform such a simple task for my own wife, I didn't deserve to remain with her family. Something inside me finally became quiet. I didn't shout. I didn't insult her. I simply stood up. For the first time in years, I looked directly at her and realized that I wasn't looking at the woman I had married. I was looking at someone who had forgotten every sacrifice made for her. That night, I returned home and opened the files I had kept locked away for years. There were investment agreements, ownership documents, shareholder contracts, and financial guarantees. My attorneys confirmed what I already knew: a substantial portion of Carter Stone Holdings depended on capital I controlled. The next morning, I made one phone call. I didn't destroy the company. I didn't steal anything. I simply withdrew the $15 billion of capital that legally belonged to me and ended the guarantees I had provided. The decision was completely lawful, but the consequences were immediate. Within days, banks demanded new guarantees. Investors panicked. Several major deals had to be frozen. Projects that depended on my financing could no longer move forward. The family that had laughed at me suddenly discovered how fragile their empire really was. Vanessa called repeatedly. At first, she was angry. Then she was frightened. Finally, she sounded like the woman I remembered from years ago. She asked me to come back. I agreed to meet her, not to punish her, but to understand whether there was anything left to save. We met at the same small cafe where we had first fallen in love. Vanessa looked exhausted. Without her designer clothes and family entourage, she seemed like a completely different person. She apologized. She admitted that she had allowed wealth to change her. She admitted that her family had treated me terribly because they assumed I would never leave. Most painfully, she admitted that she had stopped appreciating the person who had always stood beside her. I listened quietly. Then I told her something she would never forget: losing money wasn't the greatest tragedy. Losing the ability to recognize someone's value before it was too late was. The Carter Stone empire eventually broke apart. Some businesses were sold. Some projects were rescued by new investors. Her family lost the lifestyle they had taken for granted, but they survived. Vanessa had to start over and learn how to work without a family fortune protecting her from every consequence. As for me, I used a portion of my remaining wealth to create a foundation that helped struggling families, supported education, and provided opportunities to people who had been overlooked because they weren't born wealthy. Months later, Vanessa visited one of the foundation's community centers. She didn't ask for money. She didn't ask me to restore her family's fortune. She simply thanked me for teaching her a lesson that money never could. I realized then that revenge had never been the answer. The real victory was walking away with my dignity intact. Sometimes the people who underestimate you aren't doing it because you lack value. They're doing it because they have become too comfortable receiving your kindness without appreciating it. And sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is stop begging to be respected and quietly choose yourself. If this story touched your heart, please like the video, share it with someone who needs this message, and subscribe to Humanity Tales for more stories about kindness, dignity, second chances, and the unexpected turns life can take. And before we end, comment "dignity over money" if you believe no amount of wealth gives anyone the right to humiliate another human being. Because in the end, Daniel didn't lose his wife, his fortune, or his place in society. He discovered something far more valuable. He discovered his own worth.